Welcome back to Behind the Print podcast, where we feature industry leaders and uncover the creative minds and their businesses within the world of professional printing. Our mission is to provide you with inspiring, actionable resources that elevate your business projects and accelerate your journey to excellence in profit and in print. Today, I'm joined by the Executive Vice President of SUNNY505, DeAnn OConnor. Welcome to the podcast.
Hi, Connor. How are you?
I'm good, thanks. How are you?
Doing well.
Well, if you're ready, let's just dive right into it. Sound good?
Sounds good.
So tell me a little bit about yourself and what you do.
So I'm currently the Executive Vice President at SUNNY505. We're a full-service advertising agency out of Albuquerque, New Mexico. I started my career as a graphic designer. I believe I've been in the industry for 30 plus years.
Oh, wow,
It's a long time.
that's quite the career.
Yeah, it's been great. I started as a production manager for a community college and moved up the ranks there. I had my daughter. I can't remember what year exactly, but I had my daughter, quit that job, left that job and kind of started my own little boutique agency. For about 13 years, I grew my own agency, and I think around 2021, I merged with Sunny505, who I had been freelancing for a while. And so now we all came together. We're one big agency and moving forward.
I'm curious, where did the name Sunny 505 come from?
Well, we're in New Mexico, so our area code is 505 for the most part. It used to be that way, that the entire state of New Mexico was 505. Now it's 575 and 505. So when Sunny 505, who used to be an agency called Griffin and Associates, when we merged with another company, we were deciding on names, and we basically thought Sunny, kind of perfect, kind of bright, would be a really good way to market ourselves. And 505, it makes people ask questions, exactly like you did. So it's kind of cool.
Yeah, I also
Really
imagine
like
it being in New Mexico, it's probably sunny pretty much all the time.
that. There's no doubt. It's definitely beautiful weather over here, constantly.
I can imagine. So I was checking out your website and saw that Sunny 505 offers tons of services. What would you say is the most popular service you offer?
That's an excellent question. I feel like our most popular services probably shifted in the past couple of years, as it does. As we started, we were mostly public relations. We brought in graphic design towards the beginning, of course, and there was a ton of print going on, a ton of things, activities that we were doing back then. Now it's feeling like the PR has been consistent, but right now it's feeling like we're doing a fair amount of web and social media projects. But with that, it's really interesting. I'm finding now that we don't necessarily stick to one tactic or one kind of media. It's all coming in as lumps of different tactics. So we'll be doing social media with print projects. We'll be doing a public relation piece that also has a podcast element.
Yeah, I imagine a lot of that just goes hand in hand, pretty much like an ecosystem.
Exactly, exactly. That's the right way to describe it.
So what can you tell me about your typical clients?
Let's think. Our typical clients, we work a lot with in the tourism industry, which means that we're working with some government agencies on one hand, and also the teams that they have around that. So we'll work with fairly large teams that are trying to get about a whole handful of different tactics across the board. So I would say that our typical client isn't just really one small piece of client. It's a whole lot of people trying to do a whole lot of things and narrow it down into one specific goal.
You mentioned you guys do a lot of work in the tourism industry and mentioned you guys do work with government agencies. Or is that like the National Park Service?
Not necessarily, no. One of our big clients right now is Santa Fe County. So depending on how funding works in any of their industries, we do work for those type of, I guess that's what I mean by government agencies, people in city and county.
Hmm. So what sort of problems do you typically help solve for these people?
Well, that's an interesting question. I feel like the problems come at us from different spaces daily. In that case, in Santa Fe County's case, Santa Fe County and City of Santa Fe are two completely separate areas. And so they're both ultimately trying to get to the same goal, trying to market the city of Santa Fe, get people to come and visit. And that means like when it comes down to like a social media post about a beer fest that's coming along and that comes around that. So the PR around it, the social media, any information that some of the sponsors might need, things like that.
How do you go about solving these problems?
Interesting question. So one of our clients, which is another Santa Fe client, is Santa Fe Arts and Culture Department. And this is a really good example of this. They're a department within the city of Santa Fe. So their goal, they wanted to market Santa Fe as an arts destination, which it is, but they wanted to do it from a different angle, not just regular tourism, just like come see our stuff, somewhat come see what we can offer. They wanted to put forth this campaign where we pinpointed people that are Santa famous, that are like locally well known.
Santa
Uh,
famous, I like that. That's good. That's
yeah,
great.
it was the Santa famous campaign. So we were pinpointing these people that were very locally well known and trying to see Santa Fe through their eyes. And that was our way of getting outside of Santa Fe and showing people really what Santa Fe offers. So the campaign we put out to the surrounding states in Texas and Colorado and Arizona, I believe, and I think we had some stuff running in Utah as well. But that was an interesting one to deal with because we were talking with the client, trying to get who are these people that we need to talk to and what are they about. Where we then went in and interviewed the people, the Santa famous people, and got their story and had them tell their real stories of growing up in Santa Fe and living there and what they've gathered from it. And it was kind of an interesting way to go about it because it was felt like a backhanded way to do tourism marketing. You're not just like putting everything out there face value. You're asking this person to tell you their story in hopes that somebody would latch on and be like, I really want to experience that, and then make the move. And for me, I found that interesting because it puts more of the call to action on the person that's making that decision, which ultimately that's what it is, no matter what. But I want to know this person as opposed to I want to do this activity.
So, out of all the Santa famous clients that you have, what would you say was the most interesting or unique?
That's an excellent question. All out of all these clients that we have, there is a company, a local company, it's called Build with Robots. And what they do is they have these little robots that will go in, and this is kind of a post-COVID little entity that came up. They're the little robots that will go into a room and basically clean the entire room. They'll shoot out this spray and all these things that clean the entire room. I found that client really interesting
That is very interesting.
because the clients that they were seeking out that's what was I found interesting. It was a tough sell because it's somewhat high dollar experience that people are buying here, but they're set up to clean these large rooms. But I found that really interesting. They were doing an important, such a interesting service, and with these little robots that were really cute. So we were just trying to like they're cool, they're fun, but is that the route that we're going to go down to sell this product and sell this service? Are we going cutesy, or are we, because they're cool, they're cute, they're robots, or are we really diving into this is really important and we really need to keep these spaces clean? And
Yeah,
I found that interesting, that dichotomy.
yeah, especially during the worst of COVID, I can imagine those would be very useful. Were they used for like hospitals and medical facilities?
Hospitals, they were
Okay,
used for sports arenas. I think there were a few large companies that purchased the service. Pretty cool. Pretty
that
cool.
is very cool. It's a little bit more complicated than a Roomba.
Yeah.
So, in addition to offering such a wide plethora of services, how else do you guys stand out from other businesses in your field?
To be completely honest, New Mexico, it's a big state, but it's a small state. It feels like we all know each other, all the agencies. We're really well versed. We know each other. We go to the same events. What's kind of cool about New Mexico is that we're up against a whole lot of other agencies. It's a small amount of agencies here in the state.
Hmm. So,
Respectively, competition is an interesting thing in New Mexico. It feels like it's competition, but it's, you know, also friends.
do you primarily do your most of your business in New Mexico?
Most of it. Most of it, not all of it. We have clients out of Florida. We've had clients out of New Hampshire, which is one of our satellite offices in New Hampshire, same with Florida. We've had clients in Texas, of course, but for the most part, most of our clients are in New Mexico.
Okay. So, I saw that you were named Albuquerque Business First Woman of Influence and a person to watch in Graphic Design USA magazine. Can you tell me more about these achievements?
Yes. So Woman of Influence is pretty cool. So Albuquerque Business First, I believe it's a nationwide business magazine, business journal, and the Albuquerque version is ours, of course. And so every year they pull together a handful of women and we go through a nomination process and then there's it's a juried process and I made it into Women of Influence. And what I gathered that means is that at the time that I won, I had been the president of the American Advertising Federation New Mexico. And so I was overseeing that piece. That it was during while I was running my own agency and at the time kind of pulling together teams to work on clients because for the most part, I was working on things on my own, but I had so much work at the time that I was pulling in teams. So, a woman of influence, it was an accolade that I was very, very proud of because I was doing a lot of work with a lot of people in New Mexico, which is kind of cool. And the person to watch, that was cool. I've won a few awards in Graphic Design USA magazine, and for a period of time there, I would get an American Graphic Design Award for several years. And then I got an email from them and said, hey, we really want to feature you in our person to watch edition and I think I can't remember what year it was. I think it was 2023. And what was funny about that is they gave me a series of questions to answer, and I struggled so hard answering these simple questions because I knew it was going to be in print. And it just, print to me felt so permanent. So it was cool. That's one of my favorite things in my bio.
Yeah, that's quite the list of achievements. Can you tell me about any other major accomplishments that you've made or maybe Sunny 505 has made?
Well, Sunny 505 has actually very recently, we're in Inc. 500 Best Places to Work. We got that this year, which is so exciting and so fantastic. We have 20 people on our team, and we've grown realistically from a very small team to 20 people. For an agency in New Mexico, that's a large team. So we're really, really proud that we got this nationwide recognition for that. And the team, we function as a family. We really work well together, and I feel like we're in such a good space right now.
Yeah, it's great to hear. I mean, having good company culture is so important,
It's
not
huge.
just for having a good place to work, but also I definitely think it affects the quality of what you produce.
Yeah, there's no doubt.
Can you tell me about any challenges or obstacles that are holding you back or holding your business back?
I think the biggest challenge is, and it's something that we put on ourselves often and are constantly thinking about, is lack of time. We
Mm,
tend to take on projects and then another project and then another project and realize at the end we are so strapped for time. I think what's been tough with my team is that in our industry, it's not a typical 8 to 5. You end up, okay, I'm doing a shoot on the weekend, or I've got to work in the evening on this project just to get it done, get to deadline. We're deadline driven. And so the big problem is just having enough time in all of our days to get the work done and really understanding each other as a team and what it takes to get these projects done. We have 6 designers on our team. We have a handful of account managers. We have web developers. And so we definitely don't always speak the same language, but really getting everybody to communicate and understand that if to put out really amazing work and to put out top-notch stuff takes time, and really relaying that to the client. We're not going to just knock something out just to get it out. We're going to make sure that it's really good, really functional, and really going to meet the goal.
When you're dealing with these multiple projects, how do you like avoid burnout and maintain your productivity?
Well, I wish I knew the answer to that question. It's a daily struggle. Like I said, we're constantly talking about it. We're constantly in the state of heightened stress. Some days it's like we expect the burnout. We expect that it's going to happen. But when it's not, when things are kind of slowing down, we take that time. And I think our intention is to make sure notice when somebody's reaching that point and say, okay, you need to take a minute. Go ahead. So we're really, I think the key of all of it, and this is why we work so well together as a team, is we truly have each other's backs. I think you could reach that space where you're like, I'm burnt out and I don't even realize it. And somebody else will notice. I think that's what we're trying to do.
I definitely think that's had an effect on, being such a great place to work.
That's true. That's true. It feels good.
How has print helped elevate your business?
Well, print, it has, for me, as a graphic designer a million years ago, print was all I did. And so I know it well. I worked in a pre-press shop long, long ago, right out of college, which those don't exist anymore. But coming from that up into where we are now, um, print still plays a really very big role. And you always hear that print is going away. It's hard to get a hold of paper and print shops are struggling. That's not necessarily the case in New Mexico. There's still a large amount of print work that we do. So it's still important. And we really sell that it is a part of the puzzle. It's a large piece of the puzzle. So if you're doing social media, if you're doing any other tactic, you'll likely need this. And we find that clients, they'll realize that after the fact, which is kind of funny, but yeah, I feel like print hasn't really waned in the industry where we are.
I completely agree. I can say it's the same case for us.
Good.
I think it's just a nice break from screens. Like you're looking at screens all day,
Hmm.
but just having a physical copy of something that you can hold in your hand, something that is kind of tactile. I still think that's incredibly relevant today.
Yeah, people still want it. And it's funny, my kids in school, it's everything is on screen. And it kind of drives me a little nuts to see that because I'm like, you got to write it down. You got to have something in your hands. And maybe that's just me being old, but I still think it's so very relevant.
Absolutely. I 100% agree. So, kind of a different question for you here. If you had a day completely free to spend however you'd like, what would you choose to do?
Excellent question. If I had a day completely free to do what I like, I'd probably actually, here's my answer. Here's my real, honest, true answer. One of our clients is a place called Sandia Resort and Casino. They have the best pool. And so I would grab my kids, grab my husband, go rent a cabana and just sit by the pool all day.
That
Yeah.
sounds great. That sounds great. So, one last question for you. How can our listeners get in touch with you to learn more, to maybe request some of your service or collaborate with you on a project?
So you'd go to our website. We're at sunny505.com and you'll find everything you need there. We're expanding our website very soon, which is great to to show all the services that we offer. We're adding on crisis communications, which is great, but that's how you find us, sunny505.com.
Okay. Well, did you have any questions for me?
I think I'm good. I actually do have an idea for the title.
Okay.
So I will email you about that.
Okay. Sounds great. One moment, please. Well, I'd say that's a wrap on another episode of Behind the Print. Thank you for joining us, and thank you to our listeners for joining us as we explored the artistry and innovation of the printing world. Remember, having a strong vision, building the right strategy, and using tools like print to amplify your message will make your brand stand out from the crowd. If you enjoyed today's episode, be sure to get your sample pack today from PrintingCenterUSA.com and share it with your fellow business enthusiasts. Until next time, keep those creative sparks flying, and remember, there's always more to discover behind the print.